Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Michael Mon, owner-operator of Studio M Mastering, and today is part 3 of the 5-part series, 5 Things I Wish I Knew When I Started Pro Tools. And we'll get to those right after this. All right, super excited today. Part 3 of the 5-part series, 5 Things I Wish I Knew When I Started Pro Tools. We're really getting into the nitty-gritty of how to operate Pro Tools. Again, my name is Michael Mon, owner-operator of Studio M Mastering. And if you're new to the channel, it would be great if you'd like and subscribe. Even ring that bell, it'll let you know when the new videos are here. There are 2 other videos in this series that I've already put out, depending on when you're watching it. If you're watching it brand new, if you're coming across it later on, there's a total of 5 of these videos. So for 25 things that I wish I knew when I first started Pro Tools. So let's get into the DAW and take a look at it right now. Hello, welcome back. We're at the DAW. My name is Michael Mon. And last week, we're at part 3. Last week, we covered the modes, the tools, a lot of the editing features, the tracks, how to make sure that you have your single key commands set up for your edit window, some real basic editing things. Today, we're going to start with, the first thing we're going to do is the Pro Tools, if I can speak correctly, are the Pro Tools windows, and going over the different things, the different views of the windows and how to add and subtract and customize our views. So that's going to be the first part of what we want to learn today. So last time we looked at the modes, and you click and you can see we're changing the modes. There's also, if you're on a keyboard, there are key commands for that. Then you have a zoom in, zoom out. You've got a presets for the zoom. So like you could set up a zoom view, and then, you've got preset 1 through 5. You can make it doesn't change anything as far as volume or anything, but it changes the view of your waveform so that you can like really zoom in and just make it, oh, now it looks like cement. If you're really looking for something specific, and then you can see a variety of different things there. So we can take it, that's as small as the waveform goes, and then I usually go like 3 clicks up, and that's usually where I keep my waveforms. Then you've got your tools. We went over those the last time. And then you have these different things. So we have a tab to transient. So if I'm at the beginning here and I hit the tab key, it should go to the next major transient, or major, we're talking peaks here. So there's like one transient and then the next transient and so on and so forth. So the peak of the signal. So if that's on, you can tab to transient. If that's off, then when you hit the tab key, you go to the end of the clip. Hit the return key, you're at the beginning of the clip. Tab to the end. But if you really want to go in and you're trying to find like the start of the kick drum or the start of the snare, whatever it is, if you have that tab to transient on, boom, now I can go. That's, if I was in bars and beats and grid and all of that, it might be bar 1, beat 1, who knows. Then we've got link timeline and edit selection. So the difference here is if this is on, you see my counter up here change, where you can see, okay, here we go. My playhead starts here now. So if I come here and I want to highlight a section, my playhead is still going to start where it was, but I'm highlighting a different area. Um, can be useful in editing, trying to find areas to cut in, cut out, and so that you're not changing. Like if you want to start at the same spot every time, but you need to go in and edit something out. I generally keep that on just because the way that I work, it tends to work. And then what we have here, we have the link, track, and edit selection. So let me go in and dual screen here. Okay, so let's just create, say, like 3 mono audio tracks. So with that mode on, the link, track, and edit selection, you can see that this track is highlighted when I select it. If I move the cursor down, you see that, oh, now audio 1 or audio 2 or audio 3. So then if I turn this off, if I move down, it doesn't follow. So I don't know what track I'm technically on or what channel I'm technically on. So it can be useful, can not be useful, but it's also just one of those things that's good to have the option of. I rarely swap between it. Then the next thing, so we've got insertion follows playback. So right now, if I hit play, which is the bass from last time, I go back to where my playhead was, where I'm starting my playing. If I hit this insert, and this is the N key, and that's something that you can hit on a regular basis. So if you're accidentally like hitting play, and then when you stop, your playhead now starts where you just finished, and you're like, what's going on? It's this thing right here, or you can hit the N key again to turn it on and off, and then you can go back and be like, oh, now I stop and it goes back to where it was. If I hit that again as I play, it's like, oh, okay, this is great. This is great. Oh, dang it. I wanted to go, oh man, I just killed myself. So the accidental N key can get you sometimes. We have automation follows edit. So what's nice about that is, like, say I come here, let's come into the volume. Let's grab our pencil tool because we can, and create some automation here. We go back to the waveform and say I cut out this much. Oops, let's go back to shuffle mode. So cut out this much, and then we come here, and you can see the automation followed that setup, that cut. So it's really useful, especially in the world that I deal in a lot, which is post-production, that automation follows edit. Say you have somebody who had a video, and then they decide, oh, we needed to change the timing towards the end, but you've mixed the show, and be like, oh, we've cut out these 3 words and we've done this. Well, now I've got to go cut, say 15 seconds off the show at various points, where before the automation follows edit, it was just like, oh man, I got to go redo the automation and potentially have to redo the whole mixing of the last half of the show to have that work. So with this here, it allows me to go do all the edits that they needed for the show, and then I'm able to keep my mix. I may have to adjust a few things because, as you saw, when I did cut out, there was some abrupt stuff, so I may have to adjust the automation there, but it's so much better than it used to be. And then the next thing we've got mirrored MIDI editing. So if I had a MIDI track and I was doing some MIDI things, if I was cutting out a section of the audio, it would also cut out the section of MIDI. So if I'm going like, select all wanting to just get rid of, say I'm wanting to get rid of a bridge or move a bridge, I can copy that bridge and paste it later, and then I'm able to keep that done, keep that all together. And then layered editing, I've never used that mode, so I won't go into it right now, but it just allows you to edit. So like if you had Pro Tools has the ability to create playlists. And so if you are on the playlist and you say you want to be editing the top playlist and then you have this mode on, it will edit all the layers below. So that is very useful. Like when I'm doing vocals, I'm usually using the same track and then I'm just recording layer after layer after layer after layer so that way I don't have like 12 tracks of vocals. And so if I really wanted to edit all of them at the same time, getting rid of like, the spaces in between and whatnot, I could go into that layer mode and then it's trimming, say, all 7 layers of vocals that I've done. And then there it's all the same rather than having to go do it 7 times if I'm going to use all 7 vocals. What I tend to do is I tend to create my layers, and we'll discuss this in another video, but I create my layers or my vocal comps, my vocal takes, and then I'll comp the best take, creating a new clean layer and bringing elements of the other layers forward. So that's that. Then we've got the counters. So we just can show, are we bars and beats, minutes and seconds. I live in the time code world a lot, feet and frames, another film thing, and then samples. So if we wanted to see, our session is set up at, 44,100 samples, so per second. So wherever I drop my cursor tells me how many samples I've started from 0. So I'm at 0 samples. I'm now at 200,704 samples. Some people work in that world. I tend to spend most of my time code, bars and beats, and minutes and seconds. If I'm working with film, I will get there, but generally I'm here or here. So have that. You can see as I change my counter, and that little drop down arrow is how I change it, and you can see the display. So you've got a start point, where I'm ending, and then what the length of that selection is. So if I needed to say, oh, I want 10 seconds, I can type in the 10, hit enter, and now I've selected 10 seconds from the point of my entry. I can also do that with this. Say I wanted to start at 5 seconds. I can go there, boom, and then, oh, I need to change that back to 10 seconds. There we go. So now I could have done to the end. So yeah, so there's that. Then we've got the grid. We're on a second grid. We can change that since we're on minutes and seconds. If we change the timer to bars and beats, we're now at 1 bar for our main grid. We can change the grid lines, as you can see down here on the tracks. We're now at a quarter note. We can go all the way to 64th note, and then it gets a little intense. So quarter note, and then when we're nudging, so say we want to move something, we can move it by a bar. So if I've highlighted this whole thing and I hit move, I've now moved it 1 bar. So when I hit my plus key, that plus key moves it 1 entire bar. The minus key moves it back that bar. If I want to move it a quarter note, set it up for the quarter note. And so then you can see I'm following those grid lines that are here, and I'm able to do that. So that's how you set up. We'll just take everything back to the beginning. So we set that up. And then now we've got the transport. So we have a waiting for sync. So if I'm syncing to an external like SMPTE timecode or Midi timecode, I'm there. Stop, play. Right now I'm in a loop play, so I could just continually play that loop. There's a preference. There's a preference that you can set up to turn off the loop mode up here in the options. Loop playback. There are key commands to get there, but now I'm just on normal play. Record. So if I had this track, say I wanted to record something on the track, so I have that. I'm now record enabled, so when I hit play, I would technically record over the top. So I don't want to do any of that, so we're going to undo and then able to turn that off. And then I can move to the end of the clip or the end of the audio in the session, and then the beginning, and then here's like a fast forward, rewind type of thing. So you have your old transports, like if you were using a tape deck, you have all of that same kind of stuff. And then here I've got my output meter. And if I right click, I can change what kind of meter it is. Right now I'm just using the digital VU meter. And then there's this little arrow right here. It allows me to add MIDI controls, my synchronization. So if I'm MIDI timecode, SMPTE timecode, Ableton link, I can do an expanded like transport. So I basically have all the counters in the transport. Universe window, if I click this off, it gets rid of what shows, and we'll get to what the universe window is here in a second. Clip effects, so Pro Tools 12.6 and beyond. You can choose either universe or clip effects, and we'll get to that here in a second. I can show the track list, which is on the far left there. I can turn that on and off. Clip list, which is on the right where I'm covering up. MIDI editor, I don't have any MIDI tracks, so you can't see that. And then MIDI input display. So that just turns those things on and off. So if you need something that's more or less, say I don't want to see the zoom controls, I get rid of that, and now I no longer have the zoom controls. I tend to love the zoom controls, but sometimes you get like the top bar here a little bit crowded. And so sometimes it's nice to just be able to turn on and off certain things. So then let's move down on the right-hand side here. We have a clip drop down. So as you can see, I've got, and I can resize this, I've got my clips. So I've got a single clip in here. If I had multiple clips, you would just see them all listed. And you can expand and, shrink it down to that size. And then you can actually hide that, dropping it down and say, I don't want to see that clip list anymore. And the clip list is gone. And now I have more real estate for waveforms. I like to see the clips. I'm one of those weird people, so I keep that. Same thing for tracks. You can go through and you can, on the left-hand side here, that drop-down arrow, you can show all your tracks. You can show only the selected tracks. You can show only audio tracks. You could choose master faders, auxiliaries, all the different types of tracks that we discussed in the last video. You can sort the tracks. You can hide tracks, all kinds of stuff from that drop-down. You can also down here on this little arrow, same thing for the clips. You can hide that. And on the bottom right side, if you see my clicking, which you can't because it's on the bottom, never mind, but there's an arrow down here at the bottom. Okay, so let's shrink this window a little bit so that it's easier for you guys to see. So this little arrow here on the right side, if I click that, then that hides my clips. And then there's one over here on the, I can hide the tracks, and now it's hidden behind my picture. me on camera because, you got to see my beautiful face. And then the other thing that's on here, besides the actual tracks, and then we'll discuss what's up here, we can go in and we could create groups. So if I came here and I wanted to say all these were bass tracks, if I hit Command G or Control G, I can group those. And then this dialog pops up. I can name the group and I can call it bass. I can just do it in an edit group. I can do it in a mix group, or I can do it in both. Then I'm able to choose what attributes. Right now I'm following the globals. So if I go to the globals, volume, mute, I can have it mirror the pan, LFE. I can have it mirror all the inserts, all the send levels, solos here, automation, record enable. So like if I'm doing all of that, I can set it up, and so I have the globals. My group insert is 1A here, or my group ID, not insert. And then with Pro Tools Ultimate, which is what I have, I can set up a VCA master for it. So now I have this group. And so if you look here, let's just pop up. Let's just pop up the little fader view. So let's do that for a couple of these guys. I forget we can only do one at a time. So then if you watch the volume here, I'm now able to control the volume of all three of those. If I hit solo, all three of them are now soloed, you can see. Mute. So they followed the global that I have set up. If I come here and then I create basically a VCA master, I can create that and it'll pop in next. And then I can come and I can choose my bass group. So then if I pop this up, so now we're on the VCA master. So we have a master set up, and in Pro Tools first and in Pro Tools regular, this is not there. This is one of the things that's really nice about Pro Tools Ultimate, is being able to set up like a group master, because I could technically go and hide these tracks. So if I right click and I say, okay, hide them, now they're not there, but yet I can just work with the VCA master here and control all of it about it. And I could mix an entire song not seeing the waveforms and just doing it all with VCA masters. There's also the folder tracks and things like that we discussed. But you still see the tracks over here on this left-hand side here. And so we can, by hitting that little dot, that shows and hides them. So now they're back up. So we have all of those different things. So now the last two things we're going to talk about are these little sections here. So here's my universe window. And what the universe shows is if I had multiple clips. So if I had multiple clips all throughout, you would see the clips parsed through here, and we can expand the universe window, and you would see, oh, there's clips here and here and here and here and here. And then you could technically just click on the universe window and be able to like go section to section if you so desired. And then by clicking on this is a clip effect. So I've got the clip highlighted. So I have a single clip in here, that bass track. Pro Tools, the clip processing is their channel strip, the Euphonics. Yeah, I used to work at Euphonics System 5 console, and this thing is an amazing transparent, EQ, compressor, gate. It has high pass filters, so you can come clip by clip and you could attach different processing. So like if I hit play, I haven't even inserted anything. This is just on the clip. So I could come and I can set up just, little extra processing here. So I'm doing a little compression, little EQ. I can bypass the whole thing. So it's a really, really cool thing. A lot of the other DAWs have this. So it's really nice. And then we can undo everything we've done. And there's nothing on the clip. So then if I select off the clip, it should go gray. It no longer is active. Click on it. It can be active, but there's nothing going on. You'll be able to see on the track itself, like when I do some clip gain or do some clip effects, you see that it now has EQ on it. If I do a little compression, you'll see dynamic pop up. So now you know that clip attached with it is the clip processing. So that's a really nice thing. And then you can go back to your universe window because it's filling in the spot of your universe or not. And then the last thing is you can see a variety of different things above your tracks. So you can see bars and beats, minutes and seconds, time codes, two different types of time codes. So say you're in the modern world and, this can be kind of advanced, but like you're dealing with something that's at 23976 and you're trying to match time at 2997. You can set up two time code windows because they're about the same speed. It's just different bursts per second. And we'll get into that in other videos. But yeah, you can add and subtract any of these. You can have keys, chords, meters, tempo, markers. The default is just what this is. Bars, beats, minutes, seconds, feet, frames. You can see your tempo. You can expand the tempo. So you can see if you've gone and done tempo changes. So you created a tempo map. You can see the tempo change up and down through it. So yeah, there's the mix window or the edit window and all the different features of it and all the different things you can see. And you can customize it any way you really want to customize it for your workflow because everybody's workflow is going to be different. I've always told people for every 100 Pro Tools users, there are 100 ways to use Pro Tools. So it's just one of those really nice things that you can do and change things. And then you've got your mix window. Mix window is a little bit different. So you're going to come here and you're going to come to the mix window view. So you're going to come up to that menu up top to change a lot of the things. So like I come here and I can show all tracks, all of the same thing that I had. I also have that, let's shrink this a little bit so you guys can see. Have that little, I'm able to see the groups. I can hide the groups. I can hide the tracks, listings to give myself more real estate across. And then if I come here, I can show if I have a mic preamp or an instrument. I can show my 10 insert points, my 10 sends. I can show an EQ curve. So if I have an EQ, so let's just pop up. If I click on the right spot here we go. Let's just pull up the 7-band EQ here. You can see the EQ curve and my system's a little slow. Trying to screen record always does some interesting things. So if we set up a little EQ, you can see, I can see what I'm doing EQ curve wise. Then, you got delay compensation, IO, meters and faders, track color, you've got comments. So your window can just really show a whole bunch of stuff. So if I need to leave a comment on this, oh, come on. This base is awesome. Boom. Now I have a comment there. I use this a lot when I'm doing it kind of becomes my track sheet. So I'm able to say, you know, like if I'm using like a Neumann U67 to an API 512 to a DBX 160 compressor, boom. Now I have that set up. And so now I know, oh, I recorded this with that. I can set it up to where, I can leave the comments, my API 512, if I come back in here, I can do the 512 and it was, at say plus 10. And then the DBX, I could go in and have all of that. So I'm able to potentially recall my tracking setup, or at least I can remember what mic I used, what preamp I used if I have multiple preamps, all of those things. So the comment section is really nice. Delay compensation right now, there's no delay going on, so we don't need any delay compensation. Even though I have one plugin inserted, we just don't need to see it. One like hidden feature. So if you watch this meter, if I hit all the modifier keys, meaning Control, Option, and Command, and on the Windows, same thing, all three modifiers, and then I click, my meter now expands and it's a little bit wider. I like using the wider meter. It just helps me visualize and see things. I'm able to go through and I'm able to say, okay, let's bring up the color palette here, which was already active on my other screen. So let's bring it over here. So these tracks are set up as this blue. I can go and I can say, oh, I want it red. I want it orange. I want it green. Greenish yellow, I guess. It'll be lime green if I really want a dark green. So I can do all of those different things. I can change the tracks. I can change the clips and tracks. I can modify like the groups. So if I want to change the group color, which you can see right here, there's the group color. I can change that group color to yellow. All kinds of different things. I can make it a little less, a little more. I can really brighten it up and, tends to fatigue my eyes a little bit. But I do love having the track colors when I'm mixing. I'm setting up, my drums are one color. My drum buses, my auxes have a color. My bass, another color, guitars, so on and so forth. And so you can just quickly, as you're visualizing, because you're starting to look at 30, 40 tracks, and you can be like, oh man, I need to find the snare. Oh, I can go, okay, my drums are orange. Boom, I head over to the orange or yellow or whatever I've set the drums up at, and finding that snare is a little easier in that configuration. So yeah, so we pretty much gone through pretty much everything. We've got all the different windows here. So, and then the other things, we can set up different configurations so we can change how the windows look. Then we've got, all different kinds of things, but like with anything, if we want to change the view, we come to view and we can change the mix window view. We can change the edit window view from here. We can change our rulers. So basically what we're seeing at the top of the edit window. Let's come back here. Let's close this out. So we can change we can change the rulers, what we're measuring things by. That's what this is called, the rulers. The clip, we can show what we're doing here. So In Pro Tools, we have a thing called clip gain so that we can raise and lower the individual clip by a whole bunch. If I hit the Option key, I can zero that out. There's also a way to, so we're here on the clip, we can show a clip gain line, so I can just drag up and down. I tend to not like that option as well. For some things, it's really good. Other things, it's not as good. So it's one of those things that you can figure out whether you want to do it or not. I usually keep that off. But yeah, we have all the different things. So this view window is a really nice thing to know about. So you can change my main counter. I can just change it. Now it's back to minutes and seconds. And then we've got, just all those different windows. But you got your mix, you got your edit. But let's also show you a couple other windows because these are the five things. Mainly, it was basically the mix, edit, and just kind of the overview. How to change counters was number 2. I should have been a little more specific about that because that's something that's really important. The meters, being able to, like, I can right click and I can choose the different types of meters that I want to have. So I can go to digital VU, I can go VU, peak meter, old school Pro Tools, which was semi-useless in my opinion. RMS, all different kinds. I tend to use the digital VU. I also have meters elsewhere that I use. So my tracks, I can just set that up. So just showing you the different meters, plus the 3 modifier keys, being able to shrink and expand the meters. That was something that was really nice. So that was number 3. Number 4 was just being able to show you the different elements of the mix window, and then the different edit windows. And then let's just go and let's look. So if we show up windows, we can show, like, if we've got some background tasks going on. So say like you are opening a session and it's needing to draw the waveforms or whatever, this little red area right here, this thing will turn red, and then you'll know, oh, I can go and look and see what tasks need to be done. So having the task manager there. So the big things that we're using, so if we come here, I use this all the time. Where did it go? Okay, so we've got the transport window, and we're able to, on this, just with everything else, I can have the Midi, I can not have Midi, I can have my synchronization. So I can, really customize what I'm doing. I can generate MIDI time code. I can sync to something external source. If I click that, my transport's waiting for something to send time code to me. So that one's important. So the session setup window. So all of these, this is Command 1 or Control 1. If you're Mac, it's Command, Windows, Control. Session setup, this tells me everything about my session. So I'm running a 44.1 32-bit float. I have a 77 sample system delay. My pan depth I can set up and I can change. -3 is typical. I'm on waves. Interleaved, meaning my stereo files are connected, so it's a single file, a single output wave versus a .l or a .r or an _l and an _r individual mono files. And then I can say, okay, my session starts at whatever time I'm set up for. I'm on 2997 drop frame, and there's all kinds of different time code. That's a whole nother discussion, but you can see that. And then if I hit Command 3, I am pulling up, and this is the, this is the number 5 part that I'm talking about. I'm able to pull up a big counter, and I can now go, okay, I want to see time code. So I'm now at 0 time code. I'm able to get too much on my window, 36 seconds in, so on and so forth. I'm able to see that. This little semicolon here is because I'm in drop frame. If I changed my thing to say 2997, then it would go to the colon. That's how you can tell the difference. We'll do a whole timecode discussion in another video. Won't be a part of this series because this is something that, not really for the basics or whatever. So, and then let's see, that was 3. So if we hit 4, Command 4 or Control 4, this is our automation. So we're able to suspend automation. So we could go and we could practice some things. We could do some stuff. And none of the automation will work. We can enable the plugin automation, not have plugin automation, all the different things. And then we can actually do like a preview automation, practice it. And if we really like it, then we can actually capture it and boom, we're done. And the automation we just ran, or the automation we just did, we can basically write. So all the different things for the automation and things like that. And that's another video. Then we go to 5. These are our memory locations. So memory locations can be a variety of different things, but say I drop in and I create a memory location. And then I come here and I want to go back to that spot. You can see that little yellow line right there. And let me close out of these. So I have the different memory locations and a variety of things that the memory location can save. Let's go in and let's just create another. We hit the enter key, not the return key, but the enter key to create the location. So what we can do is we can set it up. Right now we're set up on a marker point, but we can go in and there are all these different things that we can set up with the memory location. So say, let's cancel this out. So say I want to highlight that section and I want to be zoomed in like that. And then I hit the enter here. I can come here and part of I want it to remember the selection. I want it to remember the track height. Yeah, and track visibility, all those different things. So then so I've got that. So if I come here and say I'm like zoomed out and I go to location 1, it's taking me back there. But now if I click this one, it remembered everything about it. So this is actually a really interesting thing that you can set up, because you can set up, say you just want to like really focus on your drums, you could actually remember, because if I hit this enter key and I pull up this thing, we can do track visibility. So over here, we could hide all tracks except for drums. And boom, now we have only the drums in the edit window and I could name this drums. And I'm able to now just say, okay, all my drums are there. So yeah, so there's that. So that's Command 5. Command 6. Nothing that I know of. Video universe is 7. 9 is video. So if I had video in and I was, say, doing this in post-production and I wanted to see a pop-up window of my video, hitting Command 9 would bring that forward. Putting it down, we have an undo history window. We have the metadata inspector. We have the color palette that you can see right here. We can go to system usage. So we can go to system usage. I'm being fooled by the screen there. I forgot that it's on this screen. The joys of using dual. I'm using a Mac Mini and I have a 4-core system. So right now I'm using that much. It shows me how much memory I'm using, how many voices I'm using. So I've got 4 voices because I have 4 tracks. And the voices are either mono or stereo. And then how much disk I'm using because I'm not playing. So if I hit play, it might use a little bit, but because there's only one track, it's using very little disk, right? So it just gives me, so as I'm mixing, I tend to look at this window a lot, and I'm able to see the how much of the system I'm using, where I'm at. Am I really getting close to the max? And can get a little scary at times. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. We've covered the windows, the counter changes, how we can change the meters to suit our needs, using the expanded meter versus the narrow meter. Pro Tools also has, if I come here to plugins, if I go to sound field, there are all kinds of other meters that we can use, like a VU meter, a variety of different things. So we can see all of that in the sound field. So yeah, there's all kinds of meters that you can use, but the general Pro Tools meters, if you just right click, you can change your meter type. And then, yeah, we've got the mix and edit window, the way to show and hide the different things. And all of that is, remember, come up to the view, and you can see all the windows and all the different things that you can expand and get rid of, and what you're showing, what you're hiding, that kind of stuff. So if something is missing, this view window is a really, really good and interesting thing. And it allows you to see all kinds of stuff. And then you can customize, because you can come over here and create a new configuration, so you can save your favorite presets. I've been using Pro Tools for way too long that I'm just used to the default way, because you couldn't do the window configurations, and I may come up with some later on. I don't know, for the different things that I'm doing, whether I'm doing post or mastering or mixing. All the things that I do on a regular basis, I haven't found a need for it, but then again, I might mess around with it and try to see what I'm doing. So that was part 3 of the 5-part series, The 5 Things I Wish I Knew When I Started Pro Tools. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. Hope I brought value. If you have a comment, leave that below. I'm active, participating, will answer your questions when I can. And if you have something that you really want to know about, leave a comment, and might be able to get to a video. And yeah, this is part 3 of a 5-part series. So there's 4 other videos that you'll be able to watch, giving you a total of 25 things that I really wish I knew when I started Pro Tools. Again, my name is Michael Mon, owner-operator of Studio M Mastering, an affordable audio mastering studio. Thank you for being here.